Greetings, I'm Francesca Arnoldi, doula and educator. I'm the program director at the University of Vermont for their end-of-life doula training program and author of Cultivating the Doula Heart, Essentials of Compassionate Care. This video is going to be about the theme of compassion fatigue versus compassion satisfaction. And we've heard in the last number of years a lot more about compassion fatigue, about people who are burning out, especially those who consider themselves caregivers, those who are tending to the needs of other people and supporting them through their emotional intensity. So especially people in the medical care field, people in the mental health care field, spiritual care providers, hands-on care providers, family members, natural networks who are providing care to others, there is a high incidence of burnout, and it can be a very exhausting job and role. And at the University of Vermont in our program, we've had quite a few people come through with the goal of healing and returning to their original passion for their work. So we had one hospice nurse last year who came through the program, and she was experiencing a high level of compassion fatigue. She was completely burnt out, and she said that she lost the joy in her work that she had loved for decades. And she wanted to rekindle it, rediscover it, and also heal from this exhaustion. So through the program, she was able to look at her work through a different lens, learn new approaches and techniques, and also focus back on self-care and introspection and contemplation. And part of what we cover in the course and in the doula guidebook is this idea of moving from sympathy to empathy to compassion, and how that is protective of not only the needs of the person we're serving, so our client or patient, but also ourselves, how it is protective of our energy and our own needs. So it's this way to have a balanced connection that is appropriate and beneficial mutually. And so starting with sympathy, that's very basic. And it's this relaying of, I feel sad for you, I feel bad for you due to your circumstances or situation. And then empathy is really trying to imagine yourself in the other person's shoes and how you would respond or feel, and or reflecting back to a similar circumstance that you have experienced and how you felt at that time. And perhaps even what you did, what did you lean on, what decisions did you make for yourself. And so while you're connecting with this other person in your visit, in this conversation about their hurdles or circumstances, your brain is busy working through your own stuff and focusing on your outlook on their particulars, which is one way to connect, but perhaps not the most healthy way. And what we want to do is create this unclouded atmosphere between a doula and a client, or between a friend and another friend, a loved one, caregiver, whatever role you are involved with, and the person that you are caring for. We want to create a space that's really focused on the other person and their emotional landscape and their particular needs and wishes and preferences, and assisting them with exploring and creating the space that they can discover for themselves what is needed, what is best, what is their path. So that's the way that we relieve ourselves from feeling this extreme burden, which then becomes exhaustion, in taking on someone else's stuff, taking responsibility for someone else's path or decision making, telling them what's best, becoming the expert in that relationship. And instead, as doulas, we are companions and we are walking alongside. We have an awareness about the realm at large. We are familiar, we have training, education, experience, which lends itself well to being able to see the bigger picture and also being able to bring up new ideas and suggestions without attachment to the outcome or their answer. So in that way, we do enter into somewhat of a guide position, yet the route is determined by our client. So we can make suggestions about, you can consider this or that or this, and yet we trust that the client is going to be the one to determine if A, B, or C is right for that person. And so we're not fixing, we're not rescuing, we are supporting, and we are believing in the other person and trusting in the bigger picture, the bigger meaning, and that this is the other person's journey. So if they are not choosing what we would choose for ourselves, if they are instead choosing a path which might even entail additional suffering from our point of view, it is their choice, and they have a right to their self-determination. So long as they have all the information, so truly informed consent, they've gathered the information, they've had important conversations, they have spoken with their different team members, loved ones, they've spent time exploring internally to the extent that they wish, then it's their call, their choice, and we're there to support. And so I believe that this helps us move from compassion fatigue, where we feel we are taking on the world's problems, into our own selves, into our own hearts, bodies, minds, and lives, and moving toward compassion satisfaction, which is where we feel incredibly honored to be included in these experiences at end of life, and to be able to witness another person's ability to navigate their journey. And not to say that there won't be difficulty, and not to say that there won't be heartache or grief. Those are all true and real aspects of this work, any caregiving work. And that in those times we can lean on self-care, we can lean on our own practices that enable us to clear and heal and continue this really important work. So check back again for more doula essentials.